My name is Jonathan Goforth with Keller Williams Platinum Partners, and today we're going to talk about the law of agency. This video is to help you pass the real estate exam so you can enjoy what I believe is the best career ever imaginable. I've been a full-time realtor for 26 years. I am a special agent. If you don't know what that is, you're about to find out. It's my privilege to have been listed in Forbes magazine in 2019, 20, and 21 as one of the top market leaders in the country. So please subscribe. Give this video a like. Turn on your bell icon. Let's jump right into this. The law of agency is a category that you're going to have to know. It's got, at the end of this, we're going to talk about material first on this one. Then we're going to do some test questions to test your knowledge, your recall of what we're going to talk about. You have to know this. This is a section that every state, all 50 states are going to test you on. So what is agency? What is agency? Why do we talk about it? How does it relate to you and what's its purpose? So agency is where somebody represents the interests of somebody else. For example, a movie star, an actor, they have agents. They have their own agents negotiating their best interests so that they can act, putting together their TV shows, where they're going to, movies they're going to be in. They have agents who do that for them. Professional athletes, they have agents representing their best interests also. And so in the world of real estate, we have the law of agency. And so agency is where one person represents the interests of somebody else. And so there are two categories of agency. A real estate agent, you, me, we can be a special agent or a general agent. Those are the two big categories. What are these? So a special agent, I don't know, you think of James Bond, you're like a secret agent. A special agent, this is where we as real estate agents typically fall. This is us. This is me, probably going to be you. We represent one client for one time in a specific area. For example, your buyer's agency agreement that you have your buyer client sign with you to be their agent, to represent them. It's going to spell out their the price range you're going to represent them in, where they're looking. It's going to have dates, a time frame. It's good for one time, for one client in one area that they're looking for. That's what makes it a special agent. Examples of that would be the brokerage you're with to the buyer or the brokerage to the seller. This would be a buyer agency agreement or a listing agreement. They're very specific for a special purpose. The other category is a general agent. Now, these are used more for an ongoing basis in several areas. And an example of this would be a property manager. Some of you might be property managers, and so you need to get your real estate license for what you're going to be doing. And so that's why you are studying. And if you're a property manager and you're going to be doing this for the same client on an ongoing basis in several areas, then you would be a general agent. But for most of us, we are a special agent. So yes, I've been a special agent for 26 years. That's what I am. It's probably what you're going to be too. So one of the reasons I want you to subscribe is because after you pass the real estate exam, I want you to come back and check out all my other videos. I have a lot of coaching videos, a lot of advice, training videos to help you make a lot of money in real estate. Last year in 2022, my team and I, we were paid commission of over $1 million. And I want to show you how you do that. So after you pass the exam, get through all this, come back, and that's why you need to subscribe. In the law of agency, how are agency relationships created? Why is this such a big deal? Well, I'll tell you, when it comes to you and your career, this topic is number one topic. And that's why you are going to see questions about this on the exam, because you are getting a real estate license. And how do you play into the world of real estate? Well, everything you do kind of, in a way, falls under agency. If you want to get paid commission, this is your topic. A lot of this, you won't really feel it apply later, but it does. So how are agency relationships created? Number one, they are expressed. The word I want you to remember when it comes to expressed is in writing. This is the one that's in writing. All parties state their intentions in writing. That's how you're going to get paid commission. You have got to have your agency relationship expressed. The second one is implied and is created by the actions of the parties. That's all it is. There's nothing in writing. The agency relationship is created only by the actions of the parties. Number three is ostensible. And this is how it's perceived to be. How is your relationship with this person? How is it perceived? How does it appear? And how it's perceived to be or how it appears to be is kind of determining your relationship and how a formal relationship is being created. What kind of fiduciary duty do you really have to this person? Because it's not in writing, it's just ostensible. Ostensible is similar to implied because neither of these are in writing. Now, the reality of this, and you're gonna learn when you first meet your client, you're gonna take them on as a client. You meet them as a customer. They're not a client yet. You want them to be a client. You're gonna show them homes in the price range they're looking for. You want to be their specific agent. In doing that, you need to do a buyer's agency agreement because it's in writing and it's going to have all the intentions spelled out in writing. Now you have an expressed agency relationship. I want to make sure you memorize this. You should screenshot this. Memorize these three different ways of how agency relationships are created. So at the end of this, we're going to test your recall of this. You need to know this. Just trust me, you need to know the word expressed. It's in writing. Implied and ostensible are not in writing. Now, the reality of how this really goes. You have a customer. They're a customer until they become a client. But many agents at first, they just start showing houses. They do not have this person under a buyer's agency agreement. They are doing it not in writing. They do not have an expressed relationship with this person. Doesn't matter who they are. Whoever that person is, they are operating with an implied agency relationship many times up until they write an offer, and then the agent will send them a buyer's agency agreement and have them sign it at the same time. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to work, but many times that is. And so, how are you operating in your agency relationship? Well, during the whole process, you are operating as an implied agent. Your agency relationship is only implied, possibly only ostensible, until you get something in writing and it becomes an expressed relationship. I hope that helps you memorize these. Now, let's talk about fiduciary. Let's talk about fiduciary. So as we go through material like this, I want you to understand it's not just memorizing and memorizing and memorizing stuff. I want you to have a basic understanding of this because you're taking an exam, a multiple choice exam. And so if you sit there at a question, say it's question number 42 on the exam, you've got a headache, you're frustrated, you don't even know how many you've already missed, and a question pops up. If you have a basic understanding, I'm hoping that you can at least eliminate a couple of wrong answers. When you see these questions, you get 4 answers, you need to eliminate what you can first. And then, hopefully, the correct answer will become more apparent to you. So let's talk about fiduciary. This is a weird way of thinking because we don't use words like this in day-to-day living. But fiduciary is what you owe your client, and it's based on loyalty and trust Fiduciary is the duty owed to the client. It's the duty that you owe your client. And you do what's in the best interest of yourself. No, of the client. And this is why we have ethics complaints in all 50 states, because of a lack of understanding of what we're to do as real estate agents. You do the fiduciary duty. What this is, based on loyalty and trust, is that you and me, I do what's in the best interest of my client. So you don't want to go on a listing appointment and you've got commission breath. They can smell your commission breath because you are making statements and trying to get the client to do things that help you because you want the listing. For example, a fiduciary duty is not going into a listing appointment and giving them a price that is so unrealistic because you want that listing so bad. You give them a price that is nowhere realistic at all just to get the listing. You are not operating in the best interest of your client. You're working for you, so you get the listing and not somebody else who's being more honest with them. This is what fiduciary is. And so you have to operate in a good ethical way. So you're going to see test questions that involve this concept. But again, it's the duty owed to the client. This is going to help you understand fiduciary a lot better. So under the agency relationship, this is, I just want you to just kind of look at this, screenshot it, and I think this is going to give you a good understanding to help you pass a variety of questions that can be thrown at you. And then remember, in just a moment, we're going to do some practice questions. So the client is the principal. This is the client, your seller or your buyer, and they employ you. You are the agent. I am the agent. You are the agent. And a lot of times, agents forget they are not the client. They will act like they start making decisions on behalf of the client. You are just the agent. The client is the principal, and they employ you. And you give back fiduciary duties. And that's it. I want you to really understand this. This is how simple this is. But this is where you fit into the world of real estate. This is why you're going to have an exciting career and make a few $100,000 a year as a realtor. So again, the client employs you. You give back fiduciary duties. Now, the client, they have the authority and they give you instructions. And this is what I want you to remember as your career grows. You don't have any authority. It's not your property. You're not the client. The client, they have the authority. Remember, they are employing you. And they are going to give you instructions. And that's what a lot of it is spelled out in the listing agreement. It's a list of things that you agreed to do because they are giving you instructions. They are telling you to order the title policy. They are telling you to put an MLS, blah, blah, blah. All that, they are giving you instructions. But the client also has responsibility. They have the responsibility of disclosing. If this is their listing, you're going to go sell their house, they have to disclose. That's their responsibility. And they have to be honest. They have to be honest and disclose with you things that might prevent them from closing on a house if they are a buyer. You'd be amazed. You know, there's a phrase that they're buyers or liars. They may tell you only what they want you to know, and it may not be fully there. They have that same responsibility with the lender to make sure they are being honest with their lender and what they're saying. You are to follow all legal instructions. Now remember, they are giving you instructions. The client is giving you instructions. Your broker could be also giving you instructions. What do? You follow all legal instructions. Now, if your client, sometimes your client's going to tell you, yeah, we've got water in the basement 4 times in the past 6 years? Seems like every time it rains really, really hard, we get water in the basement. But I don't want you to tell anybody that. We haven't had water in the basement and it's been at least 6 months. So we don't want to disclose that. We're just telling you that because we want you to be aware of it. Now, are you to follow that? No. They are not being honest. They're not going to properly disclose that. And you are not to follow an illegal instruction. If your broker tells you to do something that is not legal, you don't follow that. You follow legal instructions. And you'll be amazed how many times this comes up in your real estate career. A client asks you to do something, you know that's not legal. You only follow legal instructions. That could be very likely a test question. You only do the assignments given to you. Remember, they have the authority and they're going to give you instructions. You only do the assignments given to you. Oh, it could be a test question too. And then what do you do with all this? What do? You report back to your client. That's part of your fiduciary duty. You report back to your client. All right. Please subscribe. Give this video a like. We're going to jump in now. And let's take all of this. Let's do some test questions so you can see how this might get thrown at you. So we're going to do a whole bunch of test questions about the law of agency. What I want you to do as you prepare yourself to go pass this exam, I want you to study all the material and I want you to practice test questions. That way, not only do you know the material and you feel very comfortable with it, very confident, but you've also practiced test questions so that you know the format you're going to be reading these in order to pass a whole bunch of test questions. So let's start. We're going to do 5 questions. Make sure you subscribe because after you get through this very short little chapter of your life, passing this exam, then come back and check out all my other videos on how to make a lot of money in real estate, how to have a successful career, open houses. There's so much after you begin your real estate career. So let's jump in quickly. First question. A real estate agent is showing a property. The agent is aware that this home had termites. What should the agent do? Number 1, inform the buyer if asked. Number 2, do not mention it because it is the responsibility of the home inspector to do a termite inspection. Number 3, inform the buyer. Number 4, do not mention it unless the termites are active. So you can kind of narrow it down to number 1 and number 3. You should not wait until the buyer asks you because the buyer may never just come out and say, by the way, do you think this house has termites? You need to inform the buyer. And so your answer is number 3. That's what the agent should do. Next question. A real estate agent is representing a real estate investment firm. They plan on purchasing numerous homes in the area over the next 2 to 3 years. The agent is serving as a general agent, a secret agent, a special agent, or a transaction coordinator. So for this one, this is where you just kind of need to know your vocabulary terms. Your answer is number 1, the general agent. Now you might also think number 3, a special agent. Here is the difference between number 1 and number 3. A general agent is where the agent works for a client on an ongoing basis in several areas. For example, that agent might be a property manager. That's a good example of a general agent. But in this case, because it is an ongoing basis in several areas for several properties, this agent is a general agent. Now, a special agent, number 3, that's an agent working for a client one time in one area, maybe a broker for a seller. Typically, that is what a real estate agent is. But for this one, it is a general agent. That question is really to show you the difference between a general agent and a special agent as a good review. What is the best way a brokerage can reduce the possibility of being sued as a result of a real estate transaction? Number one, have errors and omissions insurance in place. Number two, give a copy of the state real estate regulations to all agents. Number three, have regular meetings with all the agents and staff. Number four, discourage the use of social media for all agents in the office. Well, I certainly hope it's not number four, or you would never be watching me on YouTube. All right, let's look at this for a minute. Now, here's how a test question works. So let's read that question again. What is the best way a brokerage can reduce the possibility of being sued as a result of a real estate transaction? Now, number one looks like a pretty good answer. Have errors and omissions insurance in place. A lot of people are going to pick that. However, that has nothing to do with the question. That's something that would come into place if the brokerage is sued and if the brokerage is found in a situation where they need to use their E&O insurance. But having it is not going to reduce their possibility of being sued. Your answer is number three. That is the best way. Now, in this case, there can be more than one right answer. Number two, that's a great answer, but that's not the best way. The best way, and I want you to memorize this response, the best way a brokerage can reduce the possibility of being sued is to have regular meetings with all the agents and staff. That's the best way. Next question. Which of the following statements best describes what an agent's responsibility is? Number one, to follow all the broker's instructions. Number two, follow all the client's instructions. Number three, disclose to a listing agent that your buyer is willing to come up in price from what they just offered. Number four, disclose anything that can limit a buyer's ability to close. So this, you might be inclined to pick number one and number two. It is not number three. When you see number three, you should just eliminate that and think, good, that's an easy one I can eliminate. You would never disclose to a listing agent that your buyer is willing to come up in price, that you're not going to do that. But because of the information that we've already talked about on the beginning of this, the agent is to follow all legal broker's instructions, or a client's legal instructions. They have to be legal instructions. You're just not going to blindly follow all the instructions. They have to be legal instructions. So because of that, now this, I'll tell you, it's worded in a trick question format. And you're going to see questions worded like this on your exam. They are going to try to trick you up a little bit. The word that's missing in there that you really need to see is the word legal instructions. And so it's not going to be number one or number two. But it is number four. You are, as an agent, to disclose anything that can limit a buyer's ability to close. That needs to be disclosed. And many times you may be disclosing that to their lender if you know about it and you don't think the lender does. There are many times because of this, if there is something that's going to limit a buyer's ability to close, many times that can be addressed, that can be fixed, and whatever is going to limit that can be eliminated. If the lender knows about it, many times you may have to step in and make sure you're disclosing something like that. Let's do one more question. By the way, I have a whole bunch of other test question videos. Make sure you check out my other videos. Practice as many videos on all the different topics as you can before you go take the exam. A buyer signed a written agreement to hire a licensed real estate agent to find them a 4-bedroom home in a specific part of the city. This would be called, number 1, a special agent agreement. Number 2, a buyer's agency agreement. Number 3, a transaction broker agreement. Number 4, a general agent agreement. Well, I tell you, the answer is number 2. Now, you may not know what this is yet, but you soon will. Once you become a real estate agent, you start working with buyers, you're going to have them sign a buyer's agency agreement. And this is going to set up the terms for you to get to go show them houses, and it sets them up as your client and sets you up to earn the commission. And a special agent agreement, I don't think there is such a thing. There's not a number 4, a general agent agreement. It's not such a thing. You know, a special agent and a general agent are classifications, 2 kinds of agency. You would not be a transaction broker on this one. I'm going to tell you what that is, though. Let's learn what a transaction broker would be. Typically, that is where it is your listing. It is your listing, and so you're representing the seller. You've got it in MLS. It's your listing. And you happen to have a buyer, and you know this buyer. This is not going to be an unrepresented buyer. This is a buyer who you know. They're already a client of yours. You should already have a buyer agency agreement with whoever this buyer is. And it just so happens you have listed the perfect house for them. And so now you cannot represent the seller and also the buyer at the same time. And so you're going to change how you are into becoming a transaction broker. And so you're going to have both of them sign a transaction broker agreement. That's what it is. And technically at that point forward, you are not really representing either of them. You are simply handling the transaction at that point. Now, in that situation, just to give you a little more knowledge, let's say it's your listing and a buyer comes along who you don't know this buyer. They called you off this sign. You have no relationship with that buyer at all. Typically in that situation, you stay the listing agent. You still represent the seller. And typically in that kind of situation, the buyer would not be represented. And that's how you would fill out your agency page in your contract in a situation like that. So that's just a little bit of extra information as you begin learning. You'll see questions on all of those things. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Check out all my other videos on test questions. Please subscribe, give this one a like, and go pass that real estate test.